Hi, today I will be discussing whether gender equality has been reached in Canada yet. More specifically, I will be discussing the modern-day gender-based inequalities that women face in this country. I will be arguing that gender equality has not been reached yet due to these inequalities. Women in the vast majority of North America to this day face a disadvantage, an economic one. There are two main culprits as to why. The first one being how women are expected to maintain a far more costly existence in general. So this is what is referred to as the grooming gap, where women are expected by society to spend a lot more time on their hair, makeup, and curating outfits that are both professional and attractive, according to the Inset Times. The issue is that this gap not only presents itself as a timely cost, but also an economic one. You see, the products that women are expected to use on a daily basis to maintain a presentable appearance eventually add up. Not to say that men don't also use products to maintain their appearance, but women's seems to be a lot more of a tedious chore. And it's expensive. The reason why women tend to spend a lot more money than men on their appearance is not due to vanity or anything of the sort, but it's because they are socially compensated by the way they look. This leads us to the second and probably the most unjust of the reasons why women are at a greater disadvantage today in Canada. The pink tax is probably the most widespread manifestation of sexism in this country. It causes women to suffer more financially. If you want to look at any examples of the pink tax, you could head your way to any pharmacy and compare the same products from men's to women's. UPGE. This is actually a pricing tactic that major companies use. Here are a couple quotes from the NUPGE. In Canada, they found that women were paying 43% more on hygiene products compared to men. And this is the other quote. In total, it is estimated that Canadian women pay an extra $1,300 per year for products relatively similar to men's. Ontario in 2005 tried actually to make a gender equalizing law to ban the pink tax, but nothing really ever happened. It just fell by the wayside. Firstly, women's social role of being soft-spoken, agreeable, and docile unfortunately doesn't align most of the time with the traits needed to succeed in male-dominated fields. In these environments, traits such as assertiveness or solidarity are usually preferred. According to Rudman and Peers, it's because women, in order to succeed in male-dominated fields, are disconforming with their gender stereotype and are thus punished for it. Secondly, there's another phenomenon that furthers this. It's called the role congruity theory. According to Eagley and Peers, women in male-dominated fields are very rarely seen as both competent and agreeable at the same time. What does this mean? This means that it is also harder for women to succeed in male-dominated fields because they face a lot harsher judgment than their male peers, which is a huge issue considering that in order to get promoted or in order to, succeed in the workplace in a male-dominated field, I forgot to specify, women have to be seen as both. And if they do happen to succeed in a male-dominated field, they will be given social backlash, or they will be criticized a lot more harshly. Think about female politicians who get criticized a lot more harshly than their male counterparts. In Haleman's and Peers' words, being disliked can have career-affecting outcomes. This means that this leads to less promotion, less success, and this might even be the underlying cause behind the wage gap that still persists to this day. Women are still individuals at the end of the day with the will to decide whether to partake in these expensive beauty practices. And if the workplace discriminates against women, then why don't women decide to choose a career that doesn't interfere with how others decide to perceive them? They don't have control over what other people do. Yes, women do have the agency to decide whether to partake in beauty standards or not, but at the end of the day, they are still treated accordingly, according to sexist gender norms. And this is mostly due to mass media that perpetuates an unrealistic beauty standard, but anyway, I digress. Women shouldn't have to stay away from their profession of choice just because of how they will get treated. Otherwise, that would just be reverting back to when women weren't allowed to do many other things. So, women should continue to make their way into the workforce, regardless of how they get treated. In conclusion, women on a legal basis are given the same freedoms as men in Canada. However, there are some unfortunate inequalities that still persist. It is more difficult to be seen in a positive light in a male-dominated field as a woman. And, financially speaking, women are at a greater disadvantage compared to men. The remainder of gender inequality requires the whole population to challenge their preconceived notion of what a socially acceptable woman is, or at the very least, to stop the blatant economic oppression that is placed upon women as a result of this notion. Thank you.